Stop fighting the interface. If you find yourself constantly dragging windows, resizing panels, and hunting for editors every time you switch tasks, you are wasting valuable creative energy. Welcome back to 3D Skill Up. Today we're going to streamline your workflow by mastering workspaces. We aren't just going to look at how to switch tabs. I'm going to show you how to build a custom command center that fits your specific style of 3D art. Let's dive in. At the very top of your Blender window, you'll see a row of tabs. These are workspaces. Think of them as pre-packaged rooms in a studio, each equipped with the specific tools you need for a specific job. Let's look at the modeling workspace. Notice what happens when I click this. Blender automatically jumps into edit mode. It removes the timeline from the bottom. Why does it remove the timeline? Because when you are pushing vertices, you need maximum screen real estate. You don't need animation tools taking up the bottom 20% of your monitor. It's about focus. Now click over to sculpting. The interface changes drastically. It activates sculpt mode, brings up your brush settings in the properties panel, and it changes the viewport shading to this clay matte cap. This isn't just an aesthetic choice. This specific shading highlights surface imperfections and curvature, which is essential when you are sculpting organic shapes. Blender is trying to help you see the form better without you asking. While these defaults are great, a senior artist knows that software should bend to their will, not the other way around. You don't have to accept the default layouts. Let's look at the UV Editing tab. By default, you have the UV editor on the left and the 3D viewport on the right. But here is a pro tip. When I'm doing UVs, I often need to see how the texture coordinates interact with my materials. So, I like to modify this workspace. I'll split this area and add the shader editor. Why? Because now I can adjust my nodes and my UVs simultaneously, without flipping back and forth between the shading and UV tabs. This saves me hundreds of clicks per project. As you get more comfortable with Blender, you might find that none of the presets fit your specific niche. Maybe you do low-poly game assets, or perhaps you do 3D printing. Let's create a custom workspace. Click the plus icon at the end of the list. You can add a pre-made one, but I prefer choosing Duplicate Current. This takes your current setup and clones it. Now, double-click the tab to rename it. Let's call this Look Dev Main. You can also right-click these tabs to delete ones you never use, to declutter, or reorder them to match your logical workflow steps. Now, pay close attention. This is where beginners get stuck. If you close Blender right now, all that customization work? Gone. You need to tell Blender to remember this layout forever. Go to File, Defaults, Save Startup File, and then confirm it. Wait, there is a catch. Blender saves the exact state you are in. If you save your startup file while you are inside the UV editing workspace, every time you launch Blender in the future, it will open directly into the UV editor. That is annoying. Always switch back to your standard layout or general tab before saving your startup file. This ensures you start with a clean slate every time, but your custom workspaces are ready and waiting up top when you need them. Optimizing your workspace is about removing friction between your brain and the screen. The less time you spend looking for tools, the more time you spend creating art. If you want to master the rest of the Blender interface and start creating professional-grade 3D art, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And for more in-depth courses and assets, check out 3dskillup.art. I'll see you in the next video.